I'd like to get your take on crypto.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we talked about that a moment ago, and I thought it's a very important subject because I think most people need to spend some time analyzing this issue, and if they spend a lot of time, they come to the realization that it's not all one thing. There are two animals out there. There's something called the cryptocurrency. There's something called digital currencies. And they're not the same. Now, they have some common features, but they're two different animals. They may both have four legs, but they're different animals.
So you're talking about the CBDC,
yes,
compared to Bitcoin,
Bitcoin or Ethereum or things
the
like
other
that.
ones. Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, and so not to take too much time with it, but the cryptocurrencies are somewhat described by their name. Crypto meaning secret, or puzzle or something like that. It implies that there's some kind of privacy and confidentiality and security involved with the cryptocurrency. And that's pretty much, it's one of the features that really made it so attractive to people like us who were looking for ways to, avoid the controls coming from the banks and from the governments. So this is a way to at least protect our savings so they can't confiscate it and tax it and seize it and all that sort of thing. And so that was one of the appeals. And then there's the other kind of digital currency, which actually is like a credit card today, if you think about it, is digital currency. There's no money there. It's backed by money, US dollars if you're in America. It's backed by national currencies and so forth. But it's still basically digital. It exists only in the computers. But now there are a couple of important facts to this. Even the cryptocurrencies are not crypto. Every transaction is out in the public. You can see every transaction that is made. There's every detail. And although your name may not be attached to that transaction, that might be confidential. Computer systems and algorithms, especially when you get into artificial intelligence, can look at a transaction and compare it to trillions of other transactions, and there will be a pattern that's perceivable to or discernible to artificial intelligence system. And if you make more than 2 or 3 or 4 transactions, you will fit into a pattern that'll be spotted, and they'll know instantly who you are and where you live and what you like for breakfast. So even though your name is withheld with the systems as they are now, there's nothing confidential about them at all. Although people live in that illusion. That's an illusion. Remember, we're talking about illusion versus reality. Now, another illusion is that the digital currencies are something that the banks must certainly hate. The governments must hate them. And that comes from a confusion of the difference between a crypto and a digital currency. They're thinking of the cryptocurrencies and falsely believing that that gives them security and privacy, when in fact it doesn't. But I think that's why governments and banks must hate cryptocurrencies or digital currencies of all kind. Well, that's an illusion too, because if you've read the works of pro-bank people and the big bankers and their institutions have written essays and books on this topic, their long-held dream is a cashless society. That's one thing that the rulers of the universe want, is not for you and I to have money in our pockets. They want the money that we must use to go through them. Every transaction has to go through them, and it's not be regulated by them, but through them. That's an important difference. And that's what we're coming into, that world right now, and I think it was always foreseen, because this is the fulfillment of that dream for governments and banks, is that get rid of all currencies, all national currencies will disappear. There'll be no folding money, there'll be no coins in your pocket. There'd be nothing to put under your mattress or in a coffee can. There'd be nothing to store in a vault. It's just all electronic, and it will be run by the banks. They're not calling that, central bank digital currencies. All the banks are building that and have been working on it for quite a while. It's just becoming public now. And the time may come in a very short period, and I'm talking about a year or two, I see it that soon, where some countries are already taking that step, smaller countries, where you and I will not be able to buy anything unless it's through the central bank digital currency. And it'll seem so convenient, Because now if we want a loan, we don't have to go to the bank. We just go to the central bank, which is a consortium or a cartel, and the government is the partner. We just go to this one single source, and they won't look at our credit score to give us a loan or to give us money. They'll actually give it to us. It won't even be a loan. It'll see if they can destroy the system, and everybody's on their knees begging for food and shelter and health care and so forth. And then if the government is able to create money out of nothing, as they now do, and just give it to you out of the bigness of their heart, well then, instead of us being mad at them for having destroyed the system, we're grateful for them for giving us the money so we can survive the chaos. And now we're forevermore in their class, because if we don't do exactly what they say, they cut off our money. And that's the social credit system that was first launched in China, and now they're talking about it and launching it here in the United States. This is where we're headed. Money as we know it will soon disappear if we don't stop this, and we'll have a digital currency. It won't be a cryptocurrency, it'll be digital. It'll be all run through the banks, and every transaction will be observable. And if we owe taxes or fines to the government, we don't have to pay them. They'll just take them out of our account. It'll just be automatically taken out. You say, wait a minute, that was my money. No, it's not your. It's not going to be your money. It's their money. And you will get to use their money in direct proportion to your rank in society. If you're a general, you get a lot of money. And if you're a colonel, you quite a bit. If you're a major, enough. A lieutenant, good. But if you're a sergeant or a corporal or a buck private, you're struggling. And if you step the least bit out of line, click, you have zero. And you'll be on the streets begging for food and water.
That's what's going on in China right now.
That's what's going on. This is, I just gave it to you in a harsh form. It'll probably cause a lot of people to say, oh, this guy's nuts. But no, this is reality.
I just came out with a story today, the ESG, I think it was. Yeah. Environmental, social, and governance. Came out of the White House Friday, and they're attacking the way we get loans. And if you're getting a loan for something they don't like, coal, oil, all this other stuff, they're wanting all banks to honor it. It's coming. I mean, that is essentially a social credit score. Can you speak to how this is going to affect the velocity of money? Because they'll be able to say, hey, here's your pension, but you got to spend it in 30 days.
Well, yeah, that's true. They'll force you to spend it or you'll lose it. And that's, there's nothing more foul than that. It's not your money. So they force you to go out and spend it. And you say, well, that's good. At least I can buy something with it. But how much you get to spend will be controlled, too, by them. And, of course, I think everybody by now has seen the latest. I think it's a Visa card that has come out. And it'll be geared to your carbon footprint. So you can have all this money you think in your account, but all of a sudden, if you, let's say you have the temperature on your house set too high, and they're monitoring that through the smart meters, and they know that you've wasted too much carbon heating your house, your credit card is cut off. I mean, this is a complete dystopian world we're moving into, and it used to be that I would read about these things and from their documents because they would discuss them, And I tried to tell people about them. They said, oh, God, that would never happen. But now they're talking about it. It's in the news now. It's saying it's coming. And they'll always explain it in some wonderful way. Oh, how wonderful it'll be, how convenient it'll be, and how we're going to save the environment if we can cut those bad people off who overheat their houses or drive their cars too far or have too big an engine in their car or whatever they want to say,
Yeah, that's right. The trials and tribulations of being a forward thinker. I appreciate it. Is there anything you would like to cover? Is there something that you would like to, is there anything on your heart that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah. Yes, I think that it's necessary to conclude all of these doom and gloom discussions with the question and the answer of what do we do about it. We can just sit by and be informed, read all the books, read all the news articles, get to the alternative media, say, boy, we really know what's going on. And it still goes on. Or we can say, well, we're going to do something about it, and then we fall in line, we look for some man on a white horse, and we think, oh, if we can just get the right person into the White House, for example, that'll take care of everything. I won't have to do anything except vote for the right guy or vote for the right party or something like that. And that won't change anything because we've been doing that for about 100 years. In case people haven't noticed, we've gone from Republican to Democrat to Republican to Democrat, back and forth. And all of the things we detest continue. All the foreign wars continue. The government continues to grow and grow and grow. We keep losing our sovereignty to international treaties more and more and more. We have inflation that goes more and more and more and more. We have loss of privacy and liberty more and more and more. This business of bouncing back and forth from one political party to the other is because people are looking for an easy way to solve the problem. They think if they just vote for the right person, and that sets them up, of course, to be suckers for all the propaganda and the political rhetoric. They really think they're voting for somebody, but he's not real, or she is not real. And so that's false opposition, which people need to learn about. Or, now we have the third choice. We can say, hey, I guess I'm responsible for this. I've got to get out there. I've got to get active in the community and become part of a movement, not an organization, but a movement that has their principles clear in mind. And what are we really for? Not what we're against. We know what that is. We don't like tyranny. We don't like having people force us to do things. We don't like high taxes. But what do we want? How would we change it? It's got to be something more than just voting for another person. That's not going to do it. We have to know what that person is dedicated to. What are the principles, the ideology? Have to think, in other words. This is the problem. Now it's not so easy. We have to become responsible people and active people and dedicate our lives to something important like that. And I'm looking for people like that. And the good news is you don't need many of them. History has always been written by about 1% of the population. The others will follow. If we can find 1%, like you, my friend, you decided to do more than just weld, right? You're going to try to weld people together into a movement. You're going to try to create ideas, build something ideologically. If we had 1% of the population that would do what you are doing, a block of 15% of the population that could move in unison on something, and that will change history. That's our goal. 15%. Led by 1%. It's doable, and if anybody is interested in that idea, I urge them to come to the Red Pill Expo, because we'll be talking about that. And if you can't make it, then go to Freedom Force International on the website and learn a little bit more about it. I picked up in your comment earlier that it's a little bit rough there right now. We're in the process of revising our website, but it's there. And be patient with us. We'll clean it up and get it better organized, but the information is there. The bottom line is it can be done, but it can't be done in the old-fashioned way. It can't be done by writing a letter to your congressman and saying, oh, please, won't you do what is right? And say, don't you know that the policies you're voting for don't work? Of course he knows they don't work. That's why he's voting for them. He wants to destroy so they can rebuild out of the rubble and nobody's going to ask too many questions. We have to take the initiative and rebuild the system according to our plan for a change.
As much as everybody liked Trump, he printed money. Nobody's going to man the ship while it's sinking.
No.
It's this has been an awesome conversation. I will conclude in saying thank you. I will see you at the Red Pill Expo. I'll be there in person, me and my wife. And I had all these things I wanted to say, and I can't remember any of them.
You sound like me. I usually wind up talking about something I hadn't intended to, but that's okay.
Yeah, I digress constantly. A lot of the things you talk about, things run through my head, and I should be sitting here writing things down, but I'm not. I'm trying to hang on every word you're saying. So I hope you have an awesome day. Thank you for the interview. I hope to see all of you there at the Red Pill. And I tell you what, if you can't make it, like he said, if you can't make it in person, I understand. Flying is a nightmare. It used to be fun to fly around the world. Now it's awful. Go virtually. It's not expensive. These speakers don't get paid to come. They're coming to help. This is to help people grow, understand, and do the right thing.
Well, let me add one more thing. He said, you got to fly. Well, you don't have to fly. My wife and I are driving from California to Louisiana, We just put an extra couple of days on this trip, and we're going to see part of the country we've never seen before from the ground for a change. You know, the old-fashioned way.
Yeah,
And we added a couple of days so we could stop along the way and maybe do some sightseeing. I'm going to make fun out of it. It's a good thing. And I'm kind of glad this happened, because otherwise we'd always be fighting through the crowds in the airport and all the security checking and all that stuff. And no, we're going to get in the car and have a nice trip. So that's an option, a very good one.
That is a very good option.
No, only thing I want to say is thanks for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person there at the Red Pill Expo.
I'll be there, brother. Thank you. Have an awesome day.
Thank you. Same to you.